To address the cool house proposition, cool house is a very, very clever, is a probably intellectual really, and I agree entirely with the proposition. If we think about global warming, global population, issues surrounding future energy and food resources, future trends in migration, it's fairly obvious, I think, that there is a convergence towards a global consensus, and architects are courtiers, they stay close to the king, and they will follow the directions that society proposes, or the king proposes. And so that there is an all too evident tendency now to see architecture as a global proposition should not come as a surprise. I think it's regrettable. Architecture has always been a time, place and culture proposition. In other words, time, place and culture is another possible way of highlighting identity, our identity, who we are, and thus enable us to think about who we might be. Architecture has played an enormous, a very significant role in that proposition, whether we consider the Parthenon and the effort and money and pride that the Athenians put into the construction of that building to celebrate themselves. Or we can think recently of the Sydney Opera House, which was built for exactly the same reasons. Now these are the high-end scale objects of architectural achievement, but nevertheless architecture in its most modest, its most benign, in its most suburban sense, plays a significant and fundamental role in our sense of identity. This building was a proposal for a new library, a new central library in the heart of Melbourne. At the time I had come back from America and I was thinking very much about the unique nature of Australian cities and in particular Australian suburbs, what wonderful achievements of independence and what what a particular aesthetic they represented, independence in terms of Australian community, and this particular building struck me as being open to probably a more literal type of representation. I had always been very impressed by the Shrine of Remembrance, I should say, in Melbourne, a war memorial to the First World War essentially, and it was a structure of great dignity, and there was a lot of warm feeling that surrounded the building. This building became the model for the front entry, or the civic entry into the library. The rear of the library was a rather more banal office building. I would say that the building is obviously fixated somewhat on issues of identity. But I make no apologies for that. And of all the entries in that competition, it was an invited competition. I think there were about 8 to 10. This entry has lingered on as a type of architectural memory, a point of contact for an architectural debate in this country. It was certainly not the winner. The winner was submitted by a foreigner from Sydney, and he subsequently went on to work on the library itself as a large renovation. The issues of identity still plague me. But it is obvious to me that these are diminishing at an extraordinarily accelerated rate as we as a species are beginning to think hard about our future on this planet.